our goal is to help them remove negative reviews, obviously. And is that a headache for you? If it's a headache for you, let us take it on, right? We're a performance-based company anyway, so you only pay when reviews actually get removed. And if it makes sense from an ROI perspective, then great, we should move forward.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome, yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Always been doing big into archery, and my dad said, "Hey, you guys want to start an archery store?"
Yes, that's how it is.
And yes, of course, let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. As usual, I am your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Shane Barker, who is the founder and CEO over at TraceFuse. Shane, how are you doing, buddy? You ready for a good show?
Man, I'm doing awesome, man. I'm doing really, really good. And I did some push-ups, I did some sit-ups. Actually, that's all a lie, but I am ready for the show. I didn't really do all that because
You look great.
I'm getting older, and it's the filters. But yeah, no, I'm absolutely ready, man. I'm ready to knock this thing out.
Beautiful, man. You are the one of, man, if I had to guess, like definitely less than 5 people who I've had on this show more than once. And, congratulations. You're welcome.
I mean, seriously, I just, I always dreamed of this moment, or maybe I'd be on here a second time. I always told my wife, like, listen, if I get on Andrew's show twice, I'm done. Yeah, like at this point, I'll just retire. I'm already a thousandaire. I don't want to get too personal, but I've got thousands of dollars in my bank account. Like,
you're
one
crushing
or 2,000. Oh, dude, like making a lot of money. Like, I'm a big deal. Yeah,
we should do this whole show dry sarcasm so that everyone just has to guess what the value is, so that we're not making it clear.
Well, we're doing good so far. We're doing really good so far because people are like, what did the title say? Talking about what not to do and how to do things differently in life? I don't know. But either way.
Yeah. This is our moment to try out our stand-up that we've always wanted to do.
I've got a great story about stand-up. We'll talk another time.
We'll talk e-commerce if
Let's
I have
do
to.
it.
Shane, welcome back. Love you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. TraceFuse. Let's pretend that everyone's a new listener. So let's do a bit of a recap. Tell us a little bit about yourself, TraceFuse, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I named Shane Barker. Grew up in the digital space, have my own little website, shanebarker.com. Did a lot of personal branding there. Awesome stuff going on over there, and jumped in the Amazon space looking at reviews about 5 years ago, give or take. About 2 years of little R&D research, trying to figure out if we could crack the code with getting reviews removed on Amazon after 2 hard years of losing my hair and thinking I'm doing the wrong thing in life. We were able to crack the code. So the last 3 years have been pretty amazing. We help Amazon sellers remove negative reviews. We have about 500 clients, and we've removed over 13,000 reviews for our clients to date. So pretty proud of that. Important, I think, probably thing to a differentiator is to understand that we don't just remove all reviews that are on Amazon, right? Any critical reviews we talk. When I say critical, I mean 1, 2s, and 3 stars. We go after the reviews that are against Amazon's guidelines, right? Like Amazon's own rules. Somebody mentioned a competitor, pricing, FBA related stuff. They ship it late, it's broken, it's shipped used, something like that. So if there's reviews that cause you stress, but they're legit reviews that really talk about your product, those ones if there's nothing violating Amazon's guidelines or nothing fraudulent there, if we can prove that there's somebody attacking you, obviously that's something that we want to get removed. But at the end of the day, those things are, constructive criticism is not a bad thing. So I want to make sure that people know that. I've had people reach out and say, this review is terrible. And I'm like, is it true? They're like, yeah, but I got to get it down. I'm like, well, then you need to iterate. You need to figure out how to improve your product. Yeah. There's not much we can do there. So, the thing is we're not here to clean up every review so that you can get away with murder and continuously, sell products that maybe aren't great. The goal here is to go for things that are legit, should be removed if somebody's cussing, doing something that's outside of, of the control that you have. And, like I said, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. The immediate thing I thought about, well, a couple things, but the one I was just thinking about, you must have people reaching out to you all the time that use your platform that then are like, wait, these reviews weren't taken down. and they totally should be, even though they are definitely viable reviews just because of a poor experience or something, which happened. And sometimes they're beneficial from a marketing perspective. That's a different story. How do you how do you field that? Like, how do you keep just the constant people coming in, brands just being like, oh, this one should have gotten take it down and it wasn't. And it's like, yeah, because it's real.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is for us is we just kind of look at it, look at the review. I mean, it really comes down. It's very simple for us. If it violates Amazon's guidelines, and it's something that we would go after, even if it's a legit review, right? Like if somebody had a legit review, but at the end they said this product is effing terrible. Well, guess what? That's something that should be removed, even though the review can be legit. That's what we look at, right? So it's not usually like I'll have people that will once can say, "Hey, this is a very specific review, and this is really crushing sales." Those aren't really things that we deal with, right? Like that's more of a, you're going to reach out to Amazon. What we're looking at is things that are clearly against Amazon's guidelines. Like it's just like you and I can look at it and 20 other people could look at it and say, yeah, they're using the F word. Like we really shouldn't be doing that on the platform. So
Yeah.
that's what we're looking at, right? Is stuff that's just like blatantly there, shouldn't be there. Really, Amazon is even looking at it going, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like we don't have to go talk to anybody. We don't have to debate this. I don't have to bring a manager over. That shouldn't be on the platform, right? So
Yeah.
those are the things that we look at. If people have very specific problems about somebody saying the wrong thing, somebody says, oh, I went to the hospital and almost died, like, that's not necessarily against Amazon's guidelines, but last time I checked, if you take some creatine, you're not going to die. I don't know how many people have died from creatine. So that's what we look at is like does that make sense, right? Like, well, there's other people that would help in those situations. For us, we want to clean up the ASIN, get people back up to their 4.3s, 4.7s, whatever that may be, and really just clean up the listing. So we're looking for stuff that should be removed, or once again, fraudulent stuff can be big as well, of where you've been attacked maybe by a competitor or something, and our system actually now it actually indicates that too. It'll let us know if there's it'll flag it in our system, and then we have these things called humans. They're going to
Oh,
be gone
fun.
after AI. But yeah, we do still use humans. It's so archaic, but
I
whatever.
don't know why.
It's like I know
Only
these
in the way.
humans. Gosh, I know
What
exactly. Just look.
with that with without giving it away, because I know you're gonna I know you're not gonna want to do that, but can you explain how exactly it works? Is it completely automated? Is it just automating support tickets? Is it some type of API feed? Like what's the actual nuts and bolts of it?
Yeah, I can't tell you any of that. If we can go to the next question. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, I absolutely can. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, I'm an open book, brother. So, yeah, no, what we do is really the process is this. So, if somebody goes and signs up with us, they're going to be filling out just some basic information. They put in a merchant token. When they put in their merchant token, that will actually it pulls in all of their ASINs into our software. So then our software, what you'll be able to do is be able to navigate around, and they'll be in charge of activating and deactivating ASINs. So they can, if they want to activate a product, they want to deactivate a product, it's very, very easy. They literally click a button. And so when they click that button, let's say they have 50 critical reviews. When they click that button, we grab those 50 critical reviews, we run those through our AI software. When I say AI, this isn't, Chat GPT that just came out a year ago. I mean, we've been doing this for about 3 years with the AI side of things. So obviously it's machine learning. We're, feeding the models and they're getting better and better and better. So what happens there is it'll tell us, hey, this is either in violation of Amazon's guidelines or not in violation. And so if it's in violation of Amazon's guidelines, then we have those humans come back again, and then they come and actually take a look at the reviews, and they'll take a look at that and say, okay, hey, now I know where I want to file this, right? Because we have some, I say insider knowledge, not insider like Amazon told us, but insider as in we filed so many cases, there's just some unique knowledge that we've gained. They're really filing them wrong for the first 2 years, right? And now we've gotten it
Mhm.
down to a really awesome a system where we have the data because we're filing so many cases. If Amazon changes a policy or changes something, we know it instantly because maybe what we started doing here isn't working as well as it used to. So we have other departments or something that we can file with. So that's mainly the process there. We file cases. We send emails directly to Amazon. Everything that we do is compliant with Amazon. And really, we send those cases, and Amazon either accepts them, denies them, responds back, doesn't respond back. It can be a tedious process at points, but we have it down to where we know how many cases to file. We know, when to file, what departments to file with, how long to wait until we ask for an update. These are all things that we've learned, as just through the whole process of learning as we go
Yeah.
through this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. What's like a common misconception I assume it's people think you could just take down all the bad reviews, or is there anything else that's like everyone thinks this, it's not true?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they just think it's easy. Like, so my one of my qualifying questions when I talk to any seller is like, "Hey, have you tried to do this?" So if they say, "Yes, I've tried to do this," I can look in their eyes and it's just, just despair and like, "Okay, I just don't want to keep trying to do this." I love banging my head on the wall. I mean, I love how it feels, but there's a certain point where I'm going to have to do other things as a seller, right? Like, so
Yeah,
what happens is usually at that point they're saying, "Hey, listen, we just want somebody to take on this headache." And we all get to that point with anything we do in life, right? In the beginning, for me, I've always been like, "Oh, get it done myself, and I'll do it. I'll figure it out." And that's great until you get to a point where you hopefully are older and wiser, and you're like, "Hey, I'm making enough money. Like, I don't need to go mow my lawn. I don't need to go change my oil. There's other people that would love to take that on." Just as a
yeah,
basic example. It's the same thing with this. Like, now I would hire somebody to do my PPC. I'll hire somebody to do my SEO. I have knowledge when it comes to that, and I could do it myself. But there was a point in my career that I was the roadblock for everything, right? I became
yeah,
the person that was in the way of everything. I got to approve everything. And it's like, well, that's great until things aren't getting approved, right? Like, so that's what I look at with this is like, are they at that point where, hey, we've tried to do it, we filed 100 cases, and I just want to focus in other areas? You got to ask yourself, are you a fireman, right? Are you in just putting out fires all day with your business, or are you actually growing your business? And that was a
hmm,
reality check for me back in the day. It was like, man, I'm a fireman. I wasn't growing my businesses like I should be. I was, in the middle of it because I was the person in the middle of everything. And it's like, hey, you got to outsource. So that's what we look at it with TraceFuse. Is our goal is to help them remove negative reviews, obviously. And is that a headache for you? If it's a headache for you, let us take it on. Right? We're a performance-based company anyway, so you only pay when reviews actually get removed. And if it makes sense from an ROI perspective, then great, we should move forward. And the other huge upside is that they can pick their ASINs, right? So we're not saying, hey, we have to go after your whole merchant token or all of
yeah,
your ASINs. Hey, you want us to just go after your hero ASIN, or did you just drop from a 4.2 to a 4.2, or excuse me, 4.3 to a 4.2? Then great, that's a huge transition. You can lose 10 to 50% of your sales. So what we're doing is like, hey, where are you at in this process? We're going to talk about a little bit probably at the end of the podcast. We have a little special thing for everybody, but we want to make it so they can be able to do it on their own. But if you're past that point, you said, "Hey, listen, I'm already done banging my head, and I've lost almost all my hair." That's the reason I wear a hat these days, because I don't really have a lot of hair left from filing cases because of fake reviews. Yeah, I mean, I would take my hat off, but there's just not a lot left up there. So don't want to embarrass anybody, especially when you got a nice big full head of hair, man. You're just bragging over there, but that's okay,
I keep gluing it back on and it's working.
bro. What kind of glue do you use? I need some of that in my life. I thought about going out to Turkey. I went to Turkey. This is a funny story. I went to Turkey to go. I was at did a speaking event out there, and all
Hmm.
the guys. Have you ever been to Turkey?
No.
Oh God! So it's a trip. Like, I was walking around and it looked like everybody had their heads peeled off. Like, I'm not joking. Like, there was tons of people in the airport. Well, Turkey is where everybody goes to get the hair implants. Or like
Really?
there's some kind of yeah, like I didn't know. Like, I just thought everybody was getting attacked. I was like looking for a guy with a machete that was just gonna come out and start hammering people. No, I was like, hold on, what is going this country's really getting attacked. This was a number of years ago. And I looked it up because I was like, there's an epidemic here. Like, people's heads are blowing up or something just not right is happening. And it literally Turkey's where everybody goes. So that's why I'm not saying you need that. You're doing solid. But
Did not
you
know
know,
that.
yeah, it was crazy. I just thought there was a lot of really mad wives, or I didn't know what was going on. But needless to say, if you need a hair transplant, Turkey's the where to go, from what I've heard.
This episode is sponsored
Sponsored.
by
Mm.
Turkey.
Yeah, the government
Interesting.
for sure.
So what inspired you to make this? Like what did something happen where you were like, screw these reviews, I got to fix this problem? Like tell me that story.
Yeah, yeah. Really, for me, it was I'd always wanted to do like a SaaS product, right? And I was always kind of intrigued by that. Had friends that had done really well with SaaS products, but I grew up in the SEO industry and influencer marketing. And by the time I wanted to come out with anything, it was kind of saturated. Not
Mhm.
that there wasn't new ideas and stuff, but I was just like, I want to go compete with everybody. Plus, I knew a lot of those people, right? So that was kind of the hard part too. Not that
Yeah.
I'm not shy about competing, but I just thought, well, I don't really want to knock, and that's the way people feed their kids. Last time I checked, so I was just kind of sitting back, knowing that an opportunity would come about, and we were obviously in the e-commerce space and helping out some clients on Amazon. And then that's when I kind of had the aha moment. I was like, well, what's a common factor that everybody has issues with? And reviews was a big issue. And so I thought, man, let me see if I can kind of crack this code. I went in a little cocky, probably way too cocky actually, and was like, oh, dude, we'll click the report button, file
As
some
you should.
cases. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean, I've almost got a full head of hair at that point. I don't now, but anyways, I don't want to go into that again. But yeah, so it was kind of one
Shout
of
out
those
Turkey.
aha moments. Yeah, shout out to my people that are getting their hairs implanted. Um, yeah, it was kind of crazy because I thought, well, the review thing's got to be easy. Well, once again, 2 years into it, I honestly was thinking, man, I should probably have just like put my money into another place or become like a barista or maybe sell shoes or something. Like I was like, there's got to be something better for me out there, which making coffee is a strong thing for me. But yeah, that was a reality check. Like I said, 2 years into it, we finally cracked the code after a lot of praying, which is not a good marketing strategy, just so you know. But I guess it does help over time if you
Yeah.
pray enough to the right little baby Jesus or whoever you pray to. That's what I did, and all of a sudden making some magic happen, and we were able to crack the code. So I was very, very happy about that. But getting to that point, as every entrepreneur, it's like, when do you jump ship and go to something different, right? And
Yeah.
I was close, man. We were working on almost full time for 2 years. I mean, that's a lot of cases
Wow.
to be filed, and yeah, there was a lot of back and forth that we were able to figure out because of that. I mean, but it's now we're at a place where things are going really, really well, and we're very, very excited about it. But our goal is just to help sellers. I mean, we just, we know
Yeah.
there's already 10,000 things you got to do right. When you make money, it's awesome, but it's a very, like anything. I mean, anytime you're going to go sell anything, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
So we're looking at this going, okay, how can I take away a little bit of the headache, right? And the review thing is something most of the time people are like, sellers like, you can't do it. Now we've removed so many, they're like, God, how is that even possible? I can't remove one, you remove 13,000. And I'm like, well, it hasn't been an easy ride. It's not an easy journey. My journey's been a lot
Yeah.
of ups and downs as an entrepreneur, right? But we've been doing a good job, and we've got some great testimonials from some awesome clients. So I feel very fortunate.
How do you like? I can imagine this is probably a question you get from a lot of brands of like proving out the value, right? Like, okay, hey, let's say they put it into your system, they've got 100 reviews, they can see that maybe 5 of them are clearly fraudulent, and you can help take them down. I'm sure one of the following questions from a lot of brands is like, what's that going to do to my sales? Like, I know you can't really answer that question, but what is the answer you typically provide to that? And then we'll just plaster this on your website so that people stop
Yeah.
asking you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, really, at the end of the day, it comes down to, I mean, we actually have a calculator that we've created. So the calculator does exactly that. Now, the calculator's in beta, it'll always be in beta. It's because Amazon weighs things differently, does different things there. But
Yeah.
really, what we do is that calculator so if you drop down from your 4.3 to 4.2, when there's a little calculator, you can toggle over to, let's say you want to get back up to a 4.3, and it'll tell you approximately how many critical reviews we need to remove. And so that's a calculator that we've created mainly for that, right? Because as the owner, I don't want people to go and spend tons of money with us and not have some kind of ROI,
Yeah.
right? So obviously they know they should know what their sales are. And if you went from a 4.3 to a 4.2, I mean, I've seen clients drop from 10 to 50% of their sales, like easily. So,
Mhm.
you're going to say, okay, if I was at 100,000 and now I'm at 50,000, does it make sense to remove 15 or 20 reviews? I would say it does. Right. The other thing that's very valuable that we didn't talk about last time we chatted because I didn't have it yet is the monitoring. So now we do monitoring, which is baked into the program. So
Oh,
what that means is from, let's say if you guys get reviews today, our system would grab those reviews, review them and see if they're in violation of Amazon's guidelines or fraudulent. And then we file on them for free and they only pay when the reviews get removed. So now
oh
what
wow.
that does, that adds a level of security. You think about a month before Prime Day or Christmas, you hear all the horror stories of people getting bombarded or things
Yeah.
happening, get all kinds of reviews and getting knocked down. I mean, it's like if you had a brick and mortar store where you were selling sweatshirts and the person next to you was selling sweatshirts and somebody right before a month before Christmas kicked in your door and stole all your sweatshirts. I mean, that's really what it is, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and so what we do is we monitor them now. So that'll make it so if anybody comes in and tries to take your sweatshirts, we have like little pistols and handguns that will try to stop them from taking your sweatshirts. Yeah, that's all baked in. The gun, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. You won't ever get in trouble. My team takes full responsibility for anything that happens to those people that try to take your sweatshirts. Yeah.
Is that account wide or on an ASIN basis or both?
It's actually, well, it's for whatever ASIN is active in the back end of our software.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when they pull in, let's say pull in 100 ASINs and want to activate 5 of them, that's totally fine. But those are the 5 that'll be protected. The other upside to that is really when you do a launch, right? Because obviously, as you know, you can do a launch, everything's going great, and you get one-star review, and it crushes you. And competitors know
Mhm.
that. So what we do is if you click to monitor it or make it active, there's a higher likelihood, obviously, if they come in and cuss or say something crazy, that we can get that removed. Now, we can't guarantee to get it removed, but it at least adds one level of security. You know that if somebody comes in and says something that we can file on, we're going to be filing on it to try to clean up that launch and get you back out there.
Yeah. Is there a benefit outside of the obvious of just time for when a review comes in, immediately being like, hey, this is fraudulent? Like, is it harder for you to get ones taken down if someone comes to you brand new and is like, I have these and they're from like 2 years ago?
So there's 2 answers to that. So one, the newer reviews are going to be weighted different than the older reviews.
Hmm.
And the reason why that is for obvious reasons. If you had a product 5 years ago, your product today is probably different than the product you had 5
Yeah.
years ago. Amazon starts to weigh those a little differently. So my recommendation, the reason why we did the monitoring, is that if a review comes in today, what you don't want, and we've seen this either through people attacking or things just happening, is the review could have a cuss word in it or have pricing, all this stuff that shouldn't happen. Then people click that it's helpful, and then guess what? That becomes a little harder for us to remove, because in Amazon goes, well, but it's helpful, right? Which is less of a human looking at it, more of Amazon just saying, hey, well, if everybody thinks it's helpful, then it's helpful, even though it could have a cuss word or it could have something in there. So our goal is to go in and get it filed on that, get that thing removed, and not have it letting people click that it's helpful, because that shouldn't even be there anyways. And I've
Yeah.
seen that quite a few times where people have, 100 times people have clicked that it's helpful. And then it's like, even though it's something blatantly against Amazon's guidelines, those become more challenging for us. But
Hmm.
we can remove reviews all the way up to when the ASIN was created. We can even do Vine reviews. Vine reviews, if somebody cussed in a Vine review or mentioned a competitor, those are ones that we can file on and potentially get them removed as well. So, really anything that's out there, as long as it's in violation or potentially fraudulent, we're filing on it. If it's a legit review, there's nothing we're going to do about that. Like, it's just a life lesson. You got to learn from it and make a better product, or understand what they're saying and how you can improve things, which can be valuable.
Yeah. Shane, as usual, man, this is awesome. I really appreciate it. I want to give you the floor. Let everyone know where they can find out more about TraceFuse, and tell them anything else you want them to know, and more about turkey.
Absolutely. Yeah, more dude, I love turkey. It's almost lunchtime. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you guys can reach out to me. Obviously, the website is tracefuse.ai. That's TRACEFUSE.ai. You can also reach out to me at Shane, that's SHANE, at tracefuse.ai. And last but not least, we're going to put it in the show notes, but we have a Amazon review checker. So this is going to be, it's just tracefuse.ai/Amazon-review-checker. And for all of you that can't spell, we'll have a link in the show notes for you guys. You guys can click on that. What's going to happen there is when you click on it, you can go in and put in your ASIN. It'll usually take about an hour or two. Actually, we'll create a free report for you. You have to verify your email address, make sure you're not trying to spam us. And then great, you get a report in your inbox. Like I said, it takes about an hour and a half, depending on, unless it's a huge ASIN. What we do is we pull all that information in, we look at your reviews. Our AI will tell us which ones are not compliant with Amazon's guidelines, and you actually can use that to file. And in the top right-hand corner is that infamous calculator that we talked about, the calculator where you could go and toggle this thing back and forth and see approximately how many critical reviews you need to remove, and that is all free 99. That's gratis. That is no pagas for all my Hispanic folks out there. You don't have to pay for it. So it's absolutely free. Go check it out, take a look at it, and file some cases. And if it doesn't work, guess what? TraceFuse will always be here to save the day.
Love it. That was amazing. Shane, thank you so much. Everyone
Thank
who
you,
tuned
brother.
in, as usual, thank you all. Make sure you do the usual thing, rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ecomm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The Ecomm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the Ecomm Show.